I think if you could explain the why of things, then that makes a huge difference to people's motivation. Yeah. Then they understand purpose. The teachers do not explain why kids are being taught a subject.
If you're new and you ask, why is it done this way? The answer is because that's the way we do it here, or because that's the way it's always been done. And in my opinion, the largest contribution of much of this quality thinking is to approach these ways of doing things, these processes, scientifically, where there is a theory behind why we do them. There is a description of what we do, and most importantly, there is an opportunity to always question what we do. And this is a radically different approach to business processes than the traditional one, because it's always done this way. And that single shift is everything, in my opinion.
What is education like? Basically downloading data and algorithms into your brain. It shouldn't be that you've got like these grades where people move in lockstep, like it's an assembly line. People are not objects on an assembly line. That's a ridiculous notion.
What happens when a new medium enters the scene is that we tend to fall back into old media habits. If you go back and you look at the first television shows, they're basically radio shows with a television camera pointed at them. And it took us the better part of the 50s to really understand how television was going to come into its own as its own medium.
Generally, you want education to be like as close to a video game as possible. If you can make it interactive and engaging, then you can make education far more compelling and far easier to do.
So aside from the fact that this gives you an unlimited number of profiles, which you can't get without having a different subscription for every profile on other AI models, this is an updated form of education. This actually takes into account their personalized interests, their personalized goals, and not only allows the stories or whatever they're learning about to be crafted around their base interests, their base curiosities, and real world problems, but it also allows for them to focus on things that are going to matter after they get done with graduation. All the random things that they teach you are not connected to anything of value, because value comes from what matters to you. It comes to actual utility in the real world. This tool focuses on that. It teaches them to ask the question of why. Why provides with incentive. It provides you with intention.
Why is the only real source of power? Without it, you are powerless. Another link in the chain.
Now, with one of the main benefits that this offers that's not available is highly customizable, infinite number of profiles that are kept on your side where you have control of the data, right? The profiles basically just look like these Excel sheets that you see here. Certain problems, as they start to develop, and they start to work toward those solutions are growing, will start to go away. Other categories will start to grow in competency. You'll see it start to evolve. So like here's what my profile, I actually used it to make a story at the end so you can see what kind of narrative it gave with respect to whether or not it thinks that you should support this tool. So I created some dummy profiles here so that way you can see like an example of a 9-year-old boy and girl that have a lot of issues as well as a few interests that we're going to use to build some custom narratives for them. So this first example is a little bit of a twofer. It's not just showing you how you can create engagement through interest-based topics, but it takes an actual distraction and can then manipulate that into a desire to pursue the text. And so a kid basically having a difficulty talking to a girl, well, first thing you're seeing, right, obviously it's structuring it based on his profile. It's focusing on tech because he's interested in tech. He likes solving puzzles, so this actual whole thing is structured kind of as a puzzle for him to see at the end, and the idea of it basically being in a video game. Now, to maintain some realism, I decided to follow it up with a situation where it didn't really work out the way the story went along. And so it followed up with another one, right, about courage. Great quote that I liked, right? It says, courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. We'll see how the differences in their profiles are expressed here on the surface level. You'll see how with the boy, it was focused on video games, technology, whereas hers is more of fantasy based. It starts off describing the scene that she understands, like the image in her head, and then it goes on to basically show her how through the expression she's able to understand. And so it's more of an intuitive based understanding. So what you're looking at here is just the profiles, the Excel sheets, and you can name that folder whatever folder you want to. And when you open it, you see this is the profiles folder we were talking about. You just open that there. And now you can type in nothing, or you can put in as much or as little specifications as you'd like to for constructing these stories and questions.
I think the things that we've learned most from Dr. Duran are to look at everything as a repetitive process, and to instrument that process and find out how it's running, and then start to take it apart and re-put it back together in ways that dramatically improve its effectiveness. In a very straightforward way. And no magic, no pep rallies, just looking things directly in the eye, seeing them as repetitive processes, and then re-engineering them. Most of the quality stuff, as I've understood it, is really a lot about re-engineering your repetitive processes to make them much, much more effective, combining them, eliminating some, strengthening others.
When you allow them to bury what their curiosity is in the text, then they will retrieve it. Fuck the questions. Here's some of the ones I've made for myself. And the thing is when it has not only components that are specific to your interests, specific to your desires of the moment, then of course you're going to be interested.
One of the reasons I'm here is because I need your help. If you've looked at computers, they look like garbage. All the great product designers are off designing automobiles or they're off designing buildings, but hardly any of them are designing computers. And we have a shot at putting a great object there, or if we don't, we're going to put one more piece of junk object there.